Only darkness evermore. Only darkness evermore. Bright white flash and then it's gone, then it's gone. It's a bright white flash and then it's gone. It's a bright white flash and then it's gone, then it's gone. It's a bright white flash and then it's gone. It's a bright white flash and then it's gone, then it's gone. It's a bright white flash and then it's gone. It's a bright white flash and then it's gone, then it's gone. It's a bright white flash and then it's gone. Before the lights go out for good, before the flash consumes us whole, crack on the horizon grows, opens up its blinding jaws. Before the lights go out for good, and before the flash consumes us whole, before we boil in its embrace, I gaze across your freckled face. Your sweat beads in every pore as our shadows flee across the floor. Fire fills your frightened eyes as the groaning glow intensifies. Features shine in sharp relief, your soul exposed in a moment brief. Fears and your hopes and your memories, what I was always meant to see.
So everyone, welcome to our annual Hiroshima Nagasaki commemoration. And as you all know, or most of you know, this is the 75th anniversary. So thank you all for being here. It's frustrating that we can't be gathered on the dock together, singing and sharing and loading boats and candle boats into the water. But we've had to make lots of modifications to make it work, including what we're doing here. Every time we get to this time of year, I know I always feel very sobered as we get together to try to honor the memory of the hundreds of thousands of men and women and children who perished in such a brutal and ghastly way from the atomic bombing. And I just feel like we can still be here together in spirit with the survivors who are still reminding us over and over every year that we need to keep working to abolish nuclear weapons forever from the face of the earth. So I would now like to just welcome Susie Giroux, who's going to start us off with a song.
Oh, healing river, send down your waters, send down your waters upon this land. Oh, healing river, send down your water and wash the blood from off the sand. This world is thirsty, this world is parching, no seed is growing in the barren ground. This world is thirsty, Let the deep roots nourish. Let the tall stalk rise. O seed of peace, awake and flourish. Proud leaves uncurling up to the skies. O healing river, send down your water. Send down your water upon this land. O healing river, send down your water and wash the blood from off the sand.
Alright, so I want to share today a prayer from my religion, which is the Baha'i faith. This prayer is written for America. O thou kind Lord, this gathering is turning to Thee. These hearts are radiant with Thy love. These minds and spirits are exhilarated by the message of Thy glad tidings. O God, let this American democracy become glorious in spiritual degrees, even as it has aspired to material degrees, and render this just government victorious. Confirm this revered nation to upraise the standard of the oneness of humanity, to promulgate the most great peace, to become thereby most glorious and praiseworthy among all the nations of the world. O God, this American nation is worthy of Thy favor and is deserving of Thy mercy. Make it precious and near to Thee through Thy bounty and bestowal.
And now I'd like to welcome Gary Richards, who is here from Belmont Watertown United Methodist Church.
Good evening, friends and neighbors. It is good for us to be here, and it's right for us to be here this evening. It is good and it's right because this is a time of the year when we often turn our hearts and minds towards the bounty of the harvest, the goodness that is given to us from land and people. In the final analysis, love is not this sentimental something that we talk about. It's not merely an emotional something. Love is creative, understanding goodwill for all people. It is the refusal to defeat any individual. When you rise to the level of love, it is great beauty and power. You seek only to defeat evil systems. Individuals who happen to be caught up in that system, you love, but you seek to defeat the systems. My friends and my neighbors, I stand with you this evening on this historical land and this historical time to recommit myself, and I pray that you too will recommit yourselves to defeat the systems, the very systems that continue to grow within walking distance from this historical place, to create those weapons of war, those instruments of destruction, those signs that remind us that what took place 75 years ago is still in our midst. May we go forth from this place, again, recommitting ourselves to peace and justice and love. May we all stand firm in resisting the systems that seek to separate us from one another. Thank you.
My name's Eileen Krakowski.
I'm a member of the Women's International League for Freedom, 350, Mass Peace Action, and a bunch of other things because there's so much need right now. For me, this is a very sad, sad, sad day, as was the 6th. I can't believe the abuse of power over and over and over again. I, as a kid, learned that power corrupts. This is so horrific. I don't know whether that has any meaning. I just want to say that I see some hope in this because we are here, because we've got the treaty at the UN, the non-proliferation treaty that is now ratified by 40 nations out of 122 who signed. We have 10 more to go. That brings me hope. It really does. And I sure wish you could just get one country that owns a nuke on this year.
My name's Joseph Gersing. Normally I'm in Nagasaki on this anniversary. I've been working with the Japanese peace movement and A-bomb survivors now for a very long time. And my scholarly work has focused largely on U.S. use of nuclear weapons. A couple of quick points to make. We need to understand that the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were brutal and totally unnecessary crimes against humanity. The Japanese were attempting to surrender on the terms that Truman accepted after the A-bombing, that Hirohito remained on his throne. All of the major U.S. military leaders opposed the bombing and knew that Japan was already defeated. The determinative reason, and there were many, but the determinative reason was to bring the war to an immediate end so the United States would not have to share influence with the Soviet Union in northern China, in Manchuria, and in Korea. And since that time, during international crises and wars, the United States has prepared and or threatened to initiate nuclear war at least 30 times, Republicans and Democrats alike. Most recently, of course, Trump with his fire and fury threat and the movement of U.S. Nuclear-capable bombers to Guam to back up that threat. And in those circumstances, the possibility of an accident or miscalculation is that much higher, and there have been many. We have been to the brink of annihilation many times. The other thing I want to say is that it's been my privilege to work with A-bomb survivors over many years. People incredibly tortured by what they experienced physically, pain that they've had to endure throughout their lives, and the emotional pain of what they had seen. Hell on earth, quite literally hell on earth. And these people have transformed that pain into what one journalist described as the most powerful force in the world for nuclear disarmament. And I think as we meet today, I want to encourage you to find copies of their testimonies, their courage, and make it your own. Tonight is a good time to come together, to remember, to dedicate ourselves. But what's most important is what we do next week, next month, and next year. One last point. The United States is now on track to spend $2 trillion to replace all of its nuclear warheads and all of its delivery systems. At a time when it doesn't have sufficient funds to deal with a pandemic, to provide the care and support that people need. And we're on the brink of really a new Great Depression. We cannot rebuild or build back better this country while we spend $2 trillion on nuclear weapons. So in the coming year, we're going to have an intense fight in this country over the national budget priorities. And we all need to be on point and working from that time. Thank you.
Just to say that Hiroshima and Nagasaki 75 years ago are very much present today. It's not something that happened in the past. and to say that we are not alone. This week in Massachusetts, there were over 24 events organized in different cities and towns to commemorate this occasion and to call for an end to a new nuclear arms race. Tonight in East Hampton, there's an event, and Brian and Oriana are here from Andover, where they held the event on Thursday, and so on. So we're part of a movement. It's a political struggle. There's a new arms race beginning with Russia and with China, and our national government is rearming with more new advanced nuclear weapons. And to say that there was a vote in Congress 2 weeks ago when representatives tried to cut that military budget. There was a vote to cut it by 10% in both the House and the Senate. It didn't pass in either the House nor in the Senate, but it got a meaningful number of votes, more than ever before. Roughly a quarter of both the House and the Senate voted to cut the military budget by 10%. And here in Massachusetts, out of our 9 members of the House and 2 in the Senate, all but 1 of those 11 voted to cut the military budget by 10%. And then, after the amendment failed, on final passage of the National Defense Authorization Act, 6 out of the 11 still voted no. And your Catherine Clark that represents Watertown was one of those. So it's a political struggle about whether we should go forward with a new nuclear arms race against Russia and China, or whether we should cut that back and redirect those resources to serve our people, to fight the COVID crisis, to provide housing and education, and so on. And I'm just going to throw in here that our Tony Palumbo, one of the activists in Watertown Citizens, launched the Elephant in the Room project to bring this issue to the attention of candidates. And we made a whole bunch of signs to talk about it. But then COVID hit and we weren't able to hand out those signs. So I'd like each of you to carry a sign home with you today and stick it in your yard. And we also provide one of those metal stakes that helps you stand up. And also put it in the window. So please take one of those signs or 2 of them with you when you leave tonight. And thank you.
I'm Jonathan King. I'm the co-chair of Mass Peace Action and actually the chair of the Nuclear Disarmament Working Group. I want to thank all of you who came out here tonight and all of the good Watertown folks who always turn out. I want to add one thing to what Joseph and Cole said. We are not a 501c3 Mass Peace Action. We're a grassroots organization, 10,000 households. We endorse candidates. And this is one of those rare cases. Normally when it comes to nuclear weapons, you feel like there's nothing you can do. What can 60 people in Watertown do but the world can't do it? But in fact, there's an election coming up in 3 weeks on the 1st of September of national and international significance where the leader in the United States Senate, Ed Markey, right, the original author of the same nuclear policy to cut $76 billion, no first use, no nuclear testing. He is in a very, very difficult race against Joe Kennedy, third. Some of you may be Kennedy supporters. I apologize for stepping on your sensitivities, but this is a very, very important national race, right? It could be decided by a very small number of votes. The number of votes that 60 people can turn out if you get on the phones and email. So remember, you have an opportunity on September 1st to affect, the national situation and make sure that next year, hopefully if the Democrats take back the Senate, we'll have some leaders who can bring forward these issues of nuclear disarmament. Thank you.
My name is Fran Rosnowski, and I come from Chelsea. I also work with Chelsea United Against the War. And I am here today because 14 years ago, I was in Hiroshima, not at this particular time, but earlier in the year. And I remember going to the museum, and although I did not meet with any A-bomb survivors like other people here, I did go to the museum, and it was a memorial museum, and they were saying, no more, never again. And the wax creatures that they had gave me so much of a better understanding as to what happened. So I would encourage all of us today, in the next couple of days, to read those testimonies of people. There is an organization that was founded in Cambridge called Peace Educators, Alive for Children Everywhere. Peace And what their mission is to encourage teachers who are working with children to find ways in which we can have peace education. I invite all of you to look at peaceeducators.org as a way to find out what else is going on, and also to still hope in a time where it is, I think, particularly essential for us to go on. Thank you.
Jonathan King talked about September 1st. I'm very happy that we have someone here tonight who was endorsed by Mass Peace Action to be our next state representative. Now that's significant because his vote is going to be important when those peace issues come to the state legislature. So I just want to acknowledge Steve Owens, who was endorsed by Mass Peace Action.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Steve has been such a big part of our community in Watertown and so much involved with peace and justice issues his whole life.
I come and stand at every door, but none can hear my silent tread. I knock and yet remain unseen, for I am dead, for I am dead. I'm only 7, though I died in Hiroshima long ago. I'm 7 now, as I was then. When children die, they do not grow. My hair was scorched by swirling flame. My eyes grew dim, my eyes grew blind. Death came and turned my bones to dust, and that was scattered by the wind. I need no fruit, I need no rice, I need no sweets or even bread. I ask for nothing for myself, for I am dead, for I am dead. All that I ask is that for peace you work today, you work today, so that the children of this world may live and grow and laugh and play.
feel so wrong beneath the blown out husk of an atom bomb. It won't be quite so bad when it finally comes. It's just a bright white flash and then it's gone.